Hey fellas, Greg from Clearwater 124, Thursday evening. Thought I'd do a little workbench video tonight. Show you what's going on, some of the stuff I use. I don't want to say that any of this is tips or anything like that because I'm certainly not an expert on any of this, either the model building side, the chassis building side, none of that stuff. I'm just a guy that watches videos, takes stuff from videos that I see and incorporates it into what I do. And then I find some little tricks of my own along the way that I use. So I don't really consider them tips. They're just observations, I guess, mostly. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I do, and please feel free to use it if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. It's just suggestions on my part of stuff that I've discovered. The car that I'm presently working on is this 68 Dodge Dart. That's going to become a Trans Am car, series car of the period. The paint has come out excellent on this. I'm really, really happy with it. One of the things that I found with painting, my painting that's improved, is I used to just use like the 2X primer and the 2X paints. I still like the 2X paints, but I found that automotive primer makes for a better finish. So I do use an automotive primer, usually a gray or a white, and then sand. I do very light coats. I might do just a tack coat, a primer, um, sand it with fine, like I think these are 3000s. Yeah, 3000 sand, and then do a final coat sand before I apply the paint, and then I sand again. But I don't use a lot. I use like 3000 on a lot of things. And these are sanding sponges, they're called. You get a package of them. They come in varying grits. That starts with 400 all the way up to 3000. I have a package of those. That's what I use all the time. Works nice. Cut them up to the size that fits your hand. And of course, I always wet sand. But I recommend automotive primer. I started painting some figures today. I did doing a driver for the Dart, and I used a suggestion from somebody, somebody's YouTube channel recommended these Sharpie Creative markers. It's 12 water-based acrylic markers. I think it was like $14 for the dozen of them, a little over a buck a piece. I tried them out today. They work pretty good. Didn't come out too bad. one thing I would say for when you're painting figures is use a white primer. Um, I think you get a truer color from your paint with a white primer than you do with a gray primer. Another suggestion. See, this is all stuff that this will probably turn into a interior tray if I can't get an interior to fit acceptably in there. So I use a white primer on figures now. I find that you get a truer color in the paint. uh, I got lazy, and I was going to buy regular automotive primer, but not primer, putty, but I couldn't find anything that was in a small tube or a small amount. So I got lazy and ordered the Tamiya putty off of Amazon. and it works good. Um, it's for filling gaps and stuff on your model bodies. You just have to be use a very small amount because you remember you're gonna have to sand it out afterwards. So use a small amount. I painted some centers for my cards dart. I think those are going to look pretty cool. With you notice the black trim on the dart, which is how the Trans Am car was, and it had that style wheel. I didn't have the markers yet, so I did that using these and paint, regular paint, acrylics. Something else I do is these are foam tires that come on these wheels on the H&R chassis. With some cars, these are on the front usually, and it's generally silicones on the back, which I take off and give away or throw away. Sometimes, if they look all right with the car, I'll leave the foams on the front. Other times, I'll take the foams off. But when you get these, they're glued on here. So what I do is I just throw them in a little acetate bath overnight, and then the next morning they just peel right off. And then you can save them and use them or build tire walls with them, whatever you want, or give them away to somebody that uses foam. But then I reuse the H&R wheels, which I will probably use on the dart. As you see, these fit fine on there. And the tires that I've chosen will fit fine on these rims. What else can I show you? I'll update you on the markers. Like I said, I only use them for that one figure. I don't know how long they last. I don't know if they dry up eventually or whatever. But as I use them and I play around with them a little more, I'll let you know. And it says to store them vertically. So I'll have to get a beer mug or something to stand these up in. Here's a little progress that I made on the chassis for the dart. I'll show you some things that I figured out over time of doing this. This is this brass here, brass channel, motor mount, axle tube that will need to be cut so the gearing can go in. The plate for the guide, which is not soldered in yet. But really what I wanted to show you here with this is two different sizes of channel, brass channel. As you can see, this fits inside. Now I learned this trick from the Quebec chassis that we got several months ago. So how I build my chassis now, I use this adjustment here for my wheelbase. I don't have to be concerned about setting it up on the block. I can just set up my chassis length, fit these two channel pieces in there, and set my model on. Get my wheelbase close. It's a little bit off. I just slide this. Slide it in or slide it out to make the wheelbase perfect. Once you decide what it is, you just take your solder, drop a little solder there, drop a little solder there, and it's permanent. That's a very easy way to learn how to set your wheelbase. I always had a little bit of a struggle with that. And this makes it much easier. Same thing with your guide. You can, oh shoot, that's not quite in the right place. Once you solder it in, you just slide that. it kills a couple birds with a couple of stones, I guess. Something else that I finally figured out is the independent front axle, so that one wheel spins on its own and the other one spins on the axle. So what I've done here is I've capped the end of this axle. And what this is a small washer that's steel and zinc mixed. Make sure when you buy something to solder onto here that it's solderable. You don't want something that's like brass coated or something like that. You want steel, or you want a steel and zinc mix. And then you just solder it on the end, put your wheel on. Don't even need your set screw anymore. Take the set screw out, save for something else. This one spins independently. The other one will screw onto the axle, and the axle will spin to make this wheel rotate, and this one's independent. So now you have an independent front axle. Kind of neat. I may even, this will be the second car I built like this with the independent front axle. I may go back and retrofit some of my previous builds if I have time or if I have the inclination. What else can I show you? I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Trying to figure out whether to use a full driver, a tray driver. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use. Generally, when you use the model interior, you have to cut out from about where the gear shift is. A little fly in here. From about where the gear shift is to this back wall, you have to remove this center section or some portion of it to get the motor to fit in. And sometimes it doesn't leave quite enough room for a driver's seat. Sometimes I'll build a platform, maybe leave the seat back in, build a platform for the driver to sit on. A lot of times I'll just eliminate this altogether, cut this to fit inside, put a tray driver in, mount a dashboard here, mount a gear shift, and a fire extinguisher, a roll bar. I have some roll bars here. You know, it's a lot of things you can do. All right, I guess we're going to wrap it up after that, fellas. So just some things that I do, things that I've discovered from building, things that I learn. I learn something every car I build. And like I said, these aren't tips. These are just things that I've found. If you think you can use any of them, feel free. If you have any questions on what I just showed you and you'd want more information, bleep bloop something down in the comments there. I generally respond to all the comments. So anyway, fellas, thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you that do. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. See ya.